Hello, everybody. This is your host, Mick. And today we have from RYRA the Klone. This is one of the more famous 3-knob clones, as one may expect, as this one is one of them that is much more prevalent out there in terms of just a strict 3-knob. You can find this in a lot of places. I got this one from Chicago Music Exchange, but they also make it in a ton of different colors. Chicago Music Exchange is just the most convenient for me. So, just an overview here. It is, again, a basic 3-knob clone. Gain, treble, output, as one would expect. A cool looking, I'm going to just say, like hieroglyphic style of Centaur with a bow. And I like the enclosure is very smooth and sparkly. So the original tone I was working with on the Roland SH-4d was just which, if you can hear by how low it is, I do have to boost it a little bit so you can hear it. I wanted to show off, again, that's because there's not a lot I can really do with 3 knobs, just because that's just how it is. I wanted to show out how much it boosted. Because to me, if a 3-knob clone cannot do the most basic clone thing of a proper boost, then, well, guess what? That's one of the two things the Klon is very well known for. So let's just go ahead. I'll keep the output about to here so we can hear it, and then we're going to get the gain and treble all the way down. So the tone is just, and then we're going to start with the gain. So as you can tell, when the gain hits about here-ish, it's one of those different style of pods that isn't just a straight linear style of gain. It has that extra little hump once it gets past that certain point there. So just to tell the noise, pretty up there. With the treble down, we still have the noise. That is because this one is working off a very much higher gain, as that is how this one is. So we'll even put the treble back up to the middle. And then once we pass the hump that's right about here, you'll see. See how much of a drastic difference that is once it goes from right here to... And then looking at my monitors, I know you can barely hear it. If even. Now it's gone. And that is where it is. Such is life. Now that's another thing. Again, that seems to be like the flavors depending on the builder of how they want it. Where a lot of times you'll either, and I did explain this in the last episode too, a lot of times you'll go and have gain all the way up to the top, or you'll have gain like that. It's usually, again, for a utility if you want to have that extra little super push during special moments of like when you're doing a solo. Nothing wrong with it, it is just preferences. So we'll just go ahead and find another tone. I'll go ahead and patch something in, and then I'll do some playing, then we'll get into the points. So that was some playing there. The original patch was just so a bit more that vibe. And then, of course, when this comes in here, obviously gives it a lot more. So before we move on to the points, this channel is sponsored by DeathCloud. They are a small family-run business where at time of filming have over 600 positive reviews, and what is fun about small businesses is they can get things that you wouldn't normally see at the bigger stores, and they have a much more responsive staff. Please go ahead and check out their website, as they often have many items on sale and a wide selection of stuff you probably wouldn't see outside of smaller shops like them. Please support small businesses, and thank you for supporting the channel, DeathCloud. And back to the video. So let's get into the points. The construction is fine. Nothing to write home about. Everything is nice. Plastic knobs, and then that, you know me by now. If you've been watching the channel, that is just a 4 out of 5. The sound itself, well, it's a 3-knob clone. Nothing special about it, nothing too harmful about it, so that's another 3.5 out of 5. So overall, I will give this, let's say, a 3.75924 out of 5. Again, it's not really much I can show off here. Once again, this has been your host, Mick. Go ahead and like the video if you like the video, or go ahead and subscribe, as every subscription is appreciated. Go ahead and share this to your friends if you know anybody who would be interested in synthesizers or clones, or both at the same time, as I know I am the only person currently doing this. And one thing about it, if you can leave a comment if there's any other clones out there you think I have missed. I have 105 as of time of filming. This will be a very long series. Please let me know, and I will go ahead and check it out. Please do note to avoid any companies that are completely out of business, as they become a near impossibility to find comparatively to the ones I've already found from some that are out of business but were too legendary to pass up. One thing about this series, that it is a pain to track down a lot of these that I consider very important for clones and clones in general, as I'm trying to be as comprehensive as possible. Go ahead and also just leave a comment on what you thought about this one, if you do have it, and just anything in general if you just want to say hi, hello. Go ahead and check out my merch store so I can have more money for this, as this is costing me an insane amount of money for one singular type of pedal. Or at least every contribution, because there is also a tip jar at the merch store. If you don't want to buy a shirt and just want to give me money, it's going to be put directly towards the channel. For example, I could use a better camera, as I am just using my phone for it, as it is hard to find anything that has a better camera than my phone that is not insanely expensive. Also for buying more Chalk's power, because at the very end of the series, I am making a clone only board that will consist of 105 pedals all on at the same time. I'm going to need a lot of Chalk's power for that, and Chalk's isn't exactly cheap. I only have enough Chalk's power at the time of filming for about 45 pedals, so I'm going to need a good bit more. Thanks for watching. Bye.